Welcome to MMA on the Rocks. My name is Bill Welker. You are listening to episode 285 of the podcast, unless you're joining us live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. Now, make sure you turn on your notifications if you want to catch a show live on any one of those platforms, and they'll do all the work of letting you know when the show is live, like right now. Obviously, no show on Sunday. Today is Monday, May 9th. And I'm sure you all guessed that the reason behind that, of course, was Mother's Day, one of the most important holidays of the year. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there who are doing the right thing. And I always have to clarify that because, there are parents out there who are not doing the right thing. And I don't want to wish them a happy day, just the ones, who are doing it right. If your kids know that someone loves them, you're doing the right thing. Everything else is extra. But as long as you're checking that box, you're good in my book. Of course, a very happy Mother's Day to my beautiful wife, the mother of my child. You know, she deserves, more than a day to be celebrated most of the time. And also a happy Mother's Day to my mother, to my mother-in-law, all the amazing women in my life that have given birth to children. And a very happy Mother's Day to Mrs. Animal Wilson. And with that, I'll introduce all the way from New Jersey. I don't know what he's looking at now, but my pal and your favorite, Jeff, the Animal Wilson. Jeff, a very happy Mother's Day to Mrs. Animal Wilson, the soup expert extraordinaire.
Yeah, she's like a soup connoisseur. But Bill, a very happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. And Bill, I love that you clarified, the moms who are actually raising their kids, Bill, because I've heard it said before that every child deserves a home, but not every home deserves a child, Bill.
Mm.
And I didn't realize how true that was until I started teaching.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as a former teacher myself, you get to see a lot of those unfortunate situations. Marcus, sorry that the podcast is interrupting your Netflix session, Jeff.
I'm not watching Netflix. I'm playing video games. But
this is what you had to check off your to-do list that you were telling me earlier.
Yeah, Bill. I mean, I got the console hooked up to the TV. I don't usually have this time to just unwind, Bill.
All right. Well,
but anyway,
pause Duck Hunt for a little while and let's talk.
Bill, it's Deer Hunter. All right, 2000. All right.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah, you're a few years behind.
Yeah, play it on my PC, Bill. It's a Microsoft Windows 99.
Got it.
But seriously, Bill, happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Bill, I took some time yesterday to text a whole bunch of my coworkers who not only are they awesome teachers, but they're great moms too. But yeah, Bill, unfortunately, like you said, on the teaching side of it, we see a lot of not necessarily motherly moms, I guess you could say, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. I don't mean to be negative about it either, but I think it's insulting to the moms who are doing the right thing by their kids to just wish a generic happy Mother's Day to everybody. It's like, some of them are putting in a lot more effort and it shows. And those are the ones we want to celebrate. A lot of action went down this past weekend, Jeff. We had UFC 274, Oliveira versus Gaethje. And then Friday night, I was in Orlando, Florida for BKFC 25. And man, what a fun experience that was. I've done 3 or 4 of these now, Jeff. And I have to say, I think this was the one I had the most fun. And it had a lot to do with the success of my team, Jeff. So co-main event, and I'll get into the rest of the card like after we talk about the UFC, but I got to talk about the co-main event. My buddy Dave Mundell, unanimous decision win over Julian Let Me Bang Lane. It was a great fight, very technical. There was no theatrics from Julian or anything like that. He has a lot of respect for Dave, and Dave respected him as well. Dave was just kind of a step ahead, and he took three of those rounds, 48-47 on all the judges' scorecards. Then my buddy Henry Williams, who I'm so proud of, because I've been training with Henry since he was a very young man, and now he's just a young man. Made his pro debut at BKFC and won with a first round TKO, just a minute and 10 seconds. And Henry is such a great boxer that around the gym, everybody was saying like, oh, we feel sorry for the poor bastard who has to fight this kid bare knuckle. And that turned out to be the case. So first round TKO for him. Unfortunately, my buddy and my boxing coach, JR Ridge, suffered a cut in his fight and was not able to continue. It was like right over his eye, and he was getting blood in his eye. I know you've met JR before, Jeff. He's one of these guys that just brings such an energy to the gym. Like you can't not love the kid. And it's unfortunate because his opponent missed weight by like 4 pounds, which is crazy. He looked crazy big in there, and JR was still giving him the business until he got cut. This is saying it was round 1, but it definitely wasn't round 1. I think it was closer to, I think it was the 3rd or 4th round. So they're going to have to correct that. And then my buddy Ryan Reber with a 2nd round TKO. Ryan also made his professional debut at BKFC. Out of his mind, these guys. Great amateur boxers, and they decide to step up to the plate, go pro, and go bare knuckle. Like, let's go pro, and let's do it with no gloves. But so proud of Ryan as well. 2nd round TKO. He sat the guy down, and he just didn't get off the stool for the 3rd round. Ryan's got super fast hands. So yeah, I'm proud of all these guys. They really represented the gym well. And it was just such a fun experience. I went out to Orlando by myself for a change, Jeff. Usually I'm out there with the whole fam, hitting up Disney World and stuff. I got myself a little motel, kind of hung out by the pool before the fights, stayed out late. That turned out to be a mistake because it was a long car ride back to the Tampa Bay area.
Bill,
Saturday.
How many times do you get to do that now that you got the kid and the wife? Listen, it wasn't a bad move. It was the move that needed to be made at the time. All right. And Bill, did you say Ryan Reber or Reaper, like Team Reaper, our sponsor?
I like the transition. It is Reber, Reber. But now that you mention it, Jeff, we might as well put up this. If you want to grab some MMA on the Rocks merchandise, you can do so through our friends at Team Reaper. The website is reaper1.co. The promo code is MMA Rocks 10. Grab yourself an over-the-top under the influence t-shirt, hoodie, or tank top. It's tank top season, folks.
Yeah, and go and support some of the awesome fighters with the results they got this past weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Dave Mundell is sponsored by Team Reaper, Henry Williams, JR Ridge. I don't believe Ryan is as of yet, but who knows? So super proud of all these guys. I'm glad to be able to call them friends and teammates, and I was able to go and hang out backstage. And then here's another guy, Jeff, who won a 3rd round knockout. His name is Jack Claffey. I found out after the fact that he was in the WWE for a while. He's a British guy. He went by the name of Gentleman Jack something. Okay,
the name rings a bell just a little bit. But that's awesome, dude. Yeah, I'm always tentative about seeing these guys transition from WWE to actual combat, mostly because of CM Punk.
Yeah.
But Brock Lesnar was able to do it, but only because Brock Lesnar was a D1 wrestler in college. So
yeah, I was thinking about that today, Jeff. Like, do you think we'll ever see someone transition to MMA and have the success that Brock Lesnar did, or is he just going to be like an anomaly forever?
Oh man, that's a tough question, Bill. It's funny because I'm in a different room today, and I got the TV on, and I'm watching WWE, but the sound's off. But there's a couple of guys, Bill, that you can like even as they're like chain wrestling, and like some of the matches that I watch, and I don't watch WWE very often, but you can see the flow that they have, man,
Mm-hmm.
and you can tell that they can just link together single legs and double legs and different types of takedowns, and their sprawls are really good. And I'm just like, is the maybe the money's just better in WWE? And they probably have to go through less punishment, but I think we'll see somebody have that success someday. There's a couple of NCAA former D1 wrestlers in the WWE now, but I think the money just might be better. And Brock Lesnar, I mean, he's got a couple of screws loose as it is, man.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, I don't. That's a hard question to answer. I mean, he's the only man to ever be WWE champion and a UFC champion. I mean, I don't like to say that it'll never happen again. I'd love to see it happen again, actually. But yeah, it's definitely going to take something special to do that.
Yeah. So did Gable Steveson end up going to the WWE after he won the gold medal? Because I know he was
Um,
talking about it.
I believe I did see him at one event a little bit after he won his gold medal. He might have. I don't want to say it was WrestleMania. Um, I don't want to be misquoted, but I do believe I saw him on like an episode of Raw or something.
Yeah.
Um,
Because that's a guy I would love to see transition to MMA. He
yeah,
would do
dude,
so well.
is that the guy who's named after Dan Gable?
Yes, it is.
Oh, dude, he's an animal, man. I was following him during the Olympics. That guy is just nasty, man.
Yeah, and such technique for such a
Yeah,
big dude, which
yeah,
you normally don't see with guys that size. I mean, anyone, a wrestler of his caliber would do well in any division, but especially at heavyweight, where like the wrestlers are so few and far between.
yeah,
Get
yeah.
him a few fights. He'd be ready for the UFC within 5 fights, I would
Yeah,
think.
dude. And you think of Brock Lesnar, and just going back to Brock Lesnar really fast, one of the reasons he was so successful in college is because he was just so much bigger than everybody.
Yeah.
Like he must have had 40 pounds on like the second biggest guy.
Mm-hmm.
But Gable Stevenson, not only does he have, I actually think he's a little small for a heavyweight, but he has so much technique and athleticism, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I think he easily follows Brock Lesnar's footsteps in being a UFC and WWE champion if that's what he wants to do.
Yeah, for sure. Lesnar was just a smashing machine, man. It was like that was like a moment in history that we may never see again. If you guys think, we're wrong about that, let us know in the comments. If you think, there's somebody out there we don't know about that can just make this transition, like, oh no, I know this hockey player that's been training MMA forever. Like I like stories like that, because not a lot of guys are looking to come and do this. There were a lot of experiments in the past, your CM Punks, your James Toney, and then in the early UFCs, you had like Art Jimerson and like people from all different kinds of disciplines when, everything, it wasn't truly mixed martial arts yet.
Yeah, Ken
But
Shamrock I think is a good example as well.
well, Ken Shamrock kind of, he did the shoot style wrestling, and he had some striking as well. He was the Lions Den was one of the first teams that really kind of started blending things together. There was them and like the shoot the box guys in Brazil, that were all like black belts in jiu-jitsu, and they did Muay Thai and, stuff like that. Marfello says that he heard Canelo is looking for a new job. Maybe him. I don't think we will ever see Canelo Alvarez attempt MMA. I did hear that he lost this weekend, which was a surprise because
No way.
I don't even know the guy. It was some Russian guy beat him by decision, I believe.
Oh man, I gotta look this up now, man.
Which
Um,
actually won me $20 because My buddy at the gym, well, actually, I don't know if I won the bet because he bet that Canelo would win in under 5 rounds, and I said that I didn't think he would win in under 5 rounds, but I don't know if I necessarily said I thought he would lose. I just thought it would take him longer than 5 rounds. But yeah, while you look that up, let's start to get into UFC 274 because there were a lot of mixed emotions going into this card, and there were a lot of mixed emotions during it.
For sure.
I can't remember the last time people were so vocal about a fight being a dud. There's only a handful that come to mind. But before we get into Carla Esparza and Rose Namajunas, let's talk about the main event here. But we can't do that, Jeff, without first bringing up the fact that Charles Oliveira,
he's not even
weight, and for the first time in history, missed weight as the champion and was stripped of his title. I don't know what was going on here, Jeff. He was saying there was something wrong with the scales and that he made weight in the back, but when he came out onto the scale on the stage, he was still half a pound over. It's a tough one. Like, you kind of want to believe him, but Charles has had trouble in the past, and was always. It's crazy to think that he was still up to a few years ago asking to go back to 145, because he's such a big dude. But Mrs. Wade is the champion, and like I almost don't want to beat up on him too much because it's like, here's the guy wins a main event dominantly, and doesn't have his title anymore. Like that's an ultimate embarrassment, and I'm sure he's got to feel like super ashamed. Didn't slow him down at all in the cage though. But give me your thoughts on the miss, Jeff.
Bill, I'm wondering if the commission would have allowed him like just some time to maybe go back and cut off that half pound.
Well, they did. But I think you're only allowed 2 attempts. So when he came out the second time, he was still over.
Gotcha. Should have given him a laxative or something. Poop out that last half pound. I don't know, but Bill,
great advice.
Bill, there has been this like rumor going around that somebody was like that the European guys were trying to make weight in kilograms or stone or whatever. So the scale was off. I don't know about all that crap. I don't care, to be honest with you. But I would entertain the idea if somebody could prove it, because Bill, when I was in Puerto Rico using the GPS, it was throwing everything in kilometers, because we're the only country that does not use the metric system. So it threw me off, Bill, because when it said 400 kilometers to the next exit, I'm used to hearing 400 feet. So I would take the first exit I saw, which ended up being the wrong one. But so maybe I could maybe give him the benefit of the doubt, maybe, but I think it's a little bit of a stretch. And then Bill had to explain to my friends that the prices for gas, it was not $1 for a gallon, it was $1 for a liter. There were 4 liters in a gallon. So the gas ended up, the gas was basically the same price as it is over here.
Gotcha.
It was like $4. But I'm getting beside the point, Bill. The point is, Charles Oliveira is the champ at 145, dude. Like, he's made the weight 1,000 times, man. But I don't know if he's getting older. I think he just turned like 30 something, which feels a little weird to me, because I feel like he's been fighting forever. I think he signed with the UFC when he was like 19 or 20 or something.
He's 32.
Okay, so maybe the weight isn't coming off the way it used to. But damn it, Bill, I feel like just that half a pound just ruins the whole performance, man.
He has been with the UFC since 2010. So 12 years, August 2010. So it'll be 12 years in August. Yeah, it's a shame. It sucks. It's gonna tarnish his legacy a little bit, because even if he wins his next fight, it's not gonna show, how to show that he had defenses. It's going to show that he lost it and then won it back. So currently, he's the number one contender. And then what do you do with Justin Gaethje, man? Because here's a guy who just like reaches the top of the mountain and then gets choked on top of the mountain. Like, is this going to become his MO, or do you see this man winning gold at some point?
I don't know, Bill. I mean, he's won gold everywhere else. He's had some crazy fights in, in the promotions he's been in already. Very similar story to Eddie Alvarez with Justin Gaethje. But dude, it's so tough, man, because Justin Gaethje, he's a great fighter, and I feel like he's improved since he signed with the UFC, man. I feel like he doesn't take as much damage as he used to. But man, it's tough, dude. He's starting to go into that like Uriah Faber territory, where he's right on that cusp, but he might end up being a gatekeeper at some point. But Bill, it's hard because, I mean, look at the guys he's lost to. Khabib Nurmagomedov, undefeated in his pro MMA career, 29-0. Charles Oliveira, who has been tearing through everybody the UFC has put in front of him in his last, I would say, 6 or 7 fights, man. Adding more finishing rates to his submission game, and adding some knockouts along the way. I mean, he's just come up against some really, really stiff competition, man.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 in a row. He has not lost since 2017 in the UFC as Charles Oliveira, except for his loss against the Scale Friday night. Yeah, so I mean, obviously you can put Justin Gaethje right back into a main event, but before we get to what's next for these guys, let's talk about the actual fight. I mean, for as long as it lasted, holy shit, these guys certainly compensated for the co-main event. It was a complete opposite kind of fight where I think they both got dropped. Did he drop Charles? He dropped Charles twice. It was like a whirlwind of a fight. And then Charles dropped him. And, once that dude gets on your back, that's the end of the night. Like, he's just so good, man.
Yeah, dude. Once he dropped Justin Gaethje, he immediately jumped on his back, even caught an arm under one of his own legs, and just took that arm out of the equation and just scooped up that neck, man. Charles Oliveira's jiu-jitsu is so nasty, dude.
I mean, he's got to be the greatest ever grappler in MMA, I'd say. He's got the most submission wins in the history of the UFC, so he's doing it at the highest level. I mean, I believe he has been submitted before, but that was back when he had cardio issues. Anthony Pettis submitted him, I believe.
Yeah, with it was a nice guillotine that got him.
And then Jim Miller submitted him also, but and that was a leg lock back in the day. But I would still go as far to say that Oliveira is the best grappler to do it in MMA. I mean, as far as his ability to finish, his ability to just like checkmate people when he gets to certain positions, just phenomenal. So great performance by Oliveira, dominant. And then calls out Conor McGregor. I'm not crazy about that, but he wants a payday. Who would you like to see? Like, given that we're almost guaranteed to see Oliveira fight for the title, who do you want to see standing across from him?
I believe that wasn't it Chandler who called out McGregor on Saturday?
Oliveira did also.
Oh, really? Oh, I missed that part because I was just so tired at the end of this card. Doubt that the title fight with McGregor is going to happen just because McGregor has like 3 straight losses. I could see Chandler getting that fight instead. But For Oliveira, I don't know. It's tough, man, because I would have made the argument for Tony Ferguson, but that did not go at all as expected. His fight with Michael Chandler.
Yeah, you're not kidding, because Tony Ferguson was in that fight.
Yeah. I felt like he was putting it on Chandler. That first round, I would have given it to him, but we'll get to that fight in a sec. Jeez, I don't know who you put in there with Oliveira because he already beat Chandler.
He's already beat Poirier.
Yeah, he's already beat Poirier. Damn it, Bill! This wouldn't be such an issue if he was the champion.
Yeah, well, it still would be.
I know, but now we don't have a champion at 145.
There is, there is Islam Makhachev, which you could definitely justify throwing him in there. I know there were talks of him fighting Beneil Dariush. The problem with that is Oliveira against Makhachev does not have headlining power. I mean, I know there's talks about doing it in Abu Dhabi, and that might gain a little traction, but you're gonna need a main event on top of that. Like putting Justin Gaethje in there with Oliveira, like that's main event worthy. And the fight showed why, because Gaethje's a gamer. He puts a show on every time. He's a fan favorite. But Makhachev's still without kind of mainstream notoriety. And as good as Oliveira is, he still doesn't have it either. I'm sure he's a superstar in Brazil, but not a lot of casual fans too familiar with him, I would imagine. So that's a problem. Now, as far as Justin Gaethje goes, I say rematch Michael Chandler in a 5-round main event. Who wouldn't want to see that? I know Chandler's coming off a win and Gaethje's coming off a loss, but Chandler had a loss just before that also. So I think that would be fun.
Yeah, for sure. My only I guess the only issue I take with that, Bill, is I would want to leave that for somewhere a little bit further down the line, that rematch.
But how many more fights do you think Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler have in them? The way these guys fight, it's like we may not get a chance to have that. I don't know. I mean, it's something to think about. I would think maybe it's going to be Makhachev, and that's an interesting fight to me, but it's not going to be interesting on paper to a lot of people. All right, Jeff, let's get into it. We have a new strawweight champion somehow.
Somehow.
I think we just should have seen like another belt become vacant after this one. It was bizarre. It was bizarre to witness. Because these are two fighters I have so much respect for, Carla Esparza and Rose Namajunas, and I've been supportive of Carla as a fighter, even when she was going through the rocky times and seemed like she didn't want to be in there and was talking about, having to sell her prize from The Ultimate Fighter to make some money. But the only thing that happened in this 5-round fight, Jeff, was, a couple of takedowns from Carla Esparza, after which Rose was able to pop right back up. And after one of them, Rose countered. So if you take those exchanges, one of them was even, and the other one, Carla got the better of. And that was the difference in the fight. And I guess that's why she got this split decision. But, man, I think rounds like 1, 2, and 5 were probably 9-9 rounds. Like, because there was like, what are you judging? Like there was just nothing, Jeff. I don't know how to put it to words. And the best part about it for me too was hearing Rogan and DC just rip into them. Like they were not holding back.
Oh, dude. Yeah. It was
And that
awesome.
made it entertaining because it was like they were leaning so far into it. It was like almost uncomfortable. And like even in the interview, Rogan was like a little, he's like, come on, like nothing happened. Like, how do you think you won? um, it's so fun to see like how little of a filter he has. You know, he still keeps it clean and everything, but he's just like, I'm just gonna say this. But what were your thoughts on this? I don't want to call it a fight, on this encounter.
This happenstance, Bill. Oh man, dude. Oh man, I don't even know what to say, man. It was just so bad. I mean, um, dude, the first two rounds they were just circling each other.
Yeah.
And then the only thing that happened in the last three rounds were the takedowns. And Rose Namajunas stood there, raising her hands at the end of this fight. I was just like, come on, buddy. You and I both know that the judges are not going to give you that one.
Yeah. And in the old school sense of like from the boxing world, like you got to beat the champ to be the champ. Like in boxing, like the title wouldn't change hands if it went to a decision, essentially. There's probably a few examples where it did happen, but as a general rule, that didn't happen. But like, it's not like Carla was changing it up either. Like I see a lot of people were blaming Rose for like, keeping her distance but Carla could have pushed the pace a little bit more. Either way, we're in a shitty situation now because we have a title changing hands in a rematch. So Carla has won 2 over Rose now. So we had a title change hands under really unfortunate circumstances. You can't run this back, at least not right away, because nobody's going to want to see it. So it's like, what do you do here? Like they kind of shot their division in the foot here a little bit.
Yeah. What is that? Strawweight? That's 115. Yeah, dude, it was just not a good look for the division. That is dude, and I guess me personally, I hyped it up so much in my own head because of the history, the way they fought each other 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And they just held nothing back. They went all for it. It looked like they were a little too respectful in this one. Which I don't blame Rose at all for being respectful of the current champ, just because she finished her the last time. So if I don't blame Rose for not being the aggressor. And like you said, Bill, as the champ, it was up to Carla Esparza to really take it to Namajunas, which I felt like she did, especially in rounds 3 and 4. But yeah, Bill, if there was some possible way to score rounds 1 and 2 as a 0-0 or like a 7-7, all right, that's what I would have wanted because absolutely nothing happened. Neither of them, they were like I said, man, they're just being way too respectful of each other and just, oh man, it reminded me of what's that fight where I was talking about? Ngannou versus Lewis, man. Just nothing to write home about at all.
Yeah, and a lot of comparisons to Adesanya versus Romero as well. Yeah, I don't know what you do here. I believe we have a rematch between Joanna Jędrzejczyk and Weili Zhang coming up, which should hopefully rejuvenate the division. Obviously, Esparza has lost to Joanna before, so that's an easy rematch to make if Joanna wins, and then she has not fought Zhang yet. So if Weili were to beat Joanna, I think either one of those fights works.
Yeah.
However you want to do it. It's a little harder to figure out what to do with Rose because she's obviously, better. She's beaten both of those ladies. She's obviously better than most of the people in the division. She just, she had a flat night. And she was calling it tactical, defensive. It's like you can be defensive, but you've got to land some stuff,
Yeah.
like Lyoto Machida back in the day. He would be tactical and defensive, but then he would explode, when he saw openings. Let's get away from that. Tony Ferguson, man, looking way better than I expected him to in the first round. He had Michael Chandler wobbled in that fight. It had him hurt bad. And I did not see that coming at all. I thought he could possibly make it competitive, but I didn't expect him to look that good. Did you, Jeff?
Yeah, I was really surprised. Really, really surprised from Tony Ferguson, man. Especially after the loss to Justin Gaethje, man, and just how the gulf in class between them in that fight. I was really happy after that first round and seeing Ferguson after the year off. It looked like it did him some really good, maybe to clear his head and just get that focus back again. But man, what can you say about Michael Chandler, dude? The way he came out in that second round, just threw caution to the wind, and was like, "Hey, let's try it. Let's try an up kick, see what happens." And just,
Yeah,
dude. And Tony Ferguson, man, I don't remember the last time I saw him finished, but I've never seen him finished like that.
It was Justin Gaethje.
Was it? I thought. Okay. Actually, yeah. You're right.
Yeah, the ref stopped it while he was still standing.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah, it's coming back to me.
But yeah, we've never seen him flatlined.
Yeah, he got starched, man, and then he wasn't moving for a little bit, and then when they turned him over, he was still stiff as a board, and his feet were crossed. Like, Bill, it was just that knockout was all types of nasty, man.
Yeah. And it was so unexpected because it comes from a short, stocky guy who's not like a kickboxer. Like if you told me Michael Chandler won by knockout, like my last guess would have been a head kick. And my very last guess after that would have been a front head kick. So it's just and even the technique of it, he just kind of flung his leg up. It wasn't like the Anderson Silva one where it was like, actually pushes the foot forward into the face. So it kind of like came up into the chin. Not even like technically correct the way it was thrown, but hey, that's like getting hit with it's like a tree falling on you. So yeah, credit to Michael Chandler. Said he wanted to fight Conor McGregor at 170. I'm not into the Conor McGregor call outs. Like, I'm over it. Like, as far as I'm concerned, Conor is not fighting. He's like retired. Like, let's all move on to something else for now. Let's call out guys that are active and do it from there. And yeah, Bruce says that Chandler needs to focus more. Too much shit going on in that call out. I agree. He was a little bit all over the place. He was like very excited. So yeah, I don't know. What do you want to see next for Michael Chandler, Jeff?
Dude, I'm excited to see Michael Chandler fight anybody, man. But obviously you can't give him Oliveira again.
No. And I think he knew that, that was not amongst his call outs. If Gaethje had won, you could do Gaethje and Chandler for the belt.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to see that?
Yeah, dude. That's a very good fight.
I think you could do Gaethje and Chandler now and do it as a main event. I think you could do it as a pay-per-view main event. After the first fight, just an absolute classic. I think it works. So yeah, there's that. Another fight that was a bit of a dud, another split decision, Ovince St. Preux over Shogun. Here's the problem with Ovince St. Preux is he will kind of match people's energy. And And Shogun, I know there's been a lot of talk of him getting up in years and things like that. I have to say this is probably the slowest he's looked. Like this in this fight, he really kind of wore his age the most that we've ever seen him. Because in the third round, Ovince St. Preux was like turning up the gas a little bit and like really showing how much faster he was. But then he would like hold back again because, like I said, he tends to match people's energy. And sometimes he's able to explode on them, or he's able to, catch these submissions, and it's kind of hit or miss. But I don't know. Did you have any thoughts on this one? I didn't have much more than that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that OSP, the team was really working for him. Because Shogun Hua at the end of that first round, his whole chest was red, man. So yeah, I felt like the shots to the body were really working for OSP. And Bill, that could have attributed to Shogun slowing down in those second and third rounds.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like he was walking through mud in the first round. Even I thought,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was it was what it was. And then I thought Bruce came through with actually a very thoughtful and like good point. But then then he comes back and saying that Carla versus Rose is a prime example of why chick fights should be banned. Send them all back to Invicta. Too many chicks fights in the UFC now. I'm I'm not gonna agree with you there, Bruce, but I will display the comment because it made me chuckle. Especially because you came through with something like thoughtful and a good point, and then I came right back with something very inflammatory. Your boy Randy Brown getting it done against Khaos Williams. Another close fight, another split decision, but this one was actually an eventful one. This was actually like a really good fight, like very back and forth. You would have thought that Randy Brown would just have success if it went to the ground, but his striking looked better than ever, I thought.
Yeah, hard to argue with you on that one, Bill. Excuse me. And yeah, I felt like this fight could have gone either way. It was super close. So if they had given it to Khaos Williams, I would not have been upset. I wouldn't have felt as though Rude Boy got robbed. But Bill, I just want to talk about the size discrepancy, man. I didn't realize how big a dude Randy Brown was, and I've seen him in person, but he just looked like a weight class bigger than Khaos Williams when they were in there.
Yeah, and Khaos Williams is a big dude, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Randy's just like 9 feet tall, so he's and he uses it. His Muay Thai looked great. So yeah, great performance from him. And did he come pretty close to the submission at one point? I'm trying to remember. This is why I always have to do the show like the day after.
I mean, he got into some good spots when they were on the ground. There's actually a pretty good grappling display in this fight, but I wouldn't, for my standards, I wouldn't say it was close, but I think he was in a position at one point. I forget if he was on Khaos Williams' back for a little bit.
Yeah,
I'd have to rewatch this one to be honest with you. It was a long night.
Okay. Francisco Trinaldo, unanimous decision over Danny Roberts. I enjoyed that fight.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't really have much of an analysis on it. Macy Chiasson against Norma Dumont, another split decision. This one was close. This was at a catch weight. I'm not sure why, but 147 pounds, which is strange to me because neither one of them look that large. But there's that. Brandon Royval, first round guillotine over Matt Schnell. Thoughts, Jeff?
Dude, that fight was just fun, man. It was high energy, high impact, and Matt Schnell went in for this one takedown, and Royval was just able to catch a guillotine, and then they rolled for a sec, and then Royval caught it again, but then Schnell was able to get out of it, and at one point, they're on the ground. There's a bit of a scramble, and Royval just gets this, is able to get an arm in guillotine. And for a second, Bill, he actually let the grip. He kind of had like a, I guess you could call it like a prayer grip for a sec, and then he let go and was just squeezing with the one arm, with just the choking arm. It was crazy, dude. If you missed this one, definitely go back and watch this because Royval's just got a squeeze, man.
Yeah.
Very, very tight.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Let's see. I was kind of in and out for a lot of the prelims, so we'll just let's gloss over these first 6 fights, and then you tell me what stood out to you the most, Jeff. Blagoy Ivanov, unanimous decision over Marcos Rogerio de Lima. I don't know if you guys could see this. Those of you who are not audio only, but this picture of de Lima, he looks like Debo from the Friday movie. So if you're audio only right now, go check out SureDog and look at the picture they have of him. Doesn't he look like Debo here?
Yeah, definitely.
That's my bike now. Andre Fiallo knocked out Cameron Van Camp in the first round. Oh, Freudian slip right there. He's going to be champion one day now. Mark my words. Tracy Cortez, unanimous decision over Melissa Gatto. CJ Vergara, split decision over Clayton Rodriguez. Lupita Godinez, unanimous decision over Ariane Carnelosi. And Journey Newsome, unanimous decision over Fernando Garcia. Who'd you like, Jeff?
Bill, I liked the Fiallo knockout over Van Camp. That was a good fight. I'm not gonna lie to you, Fiallo impressed me. He had just a little too much power for Van Camp. I also really liked the Tracy Cortez versus Melissa Gatto fight. I thought Cortez looked awesome in there. Vergara versus Rodriguez was okay. There was a lot of grappling in that one, so it was pretty good. And Bill, I'm not gonna lie to you, I thought Ivanov looks pretty impressive against De Lima. And I think it kind of went the way you kind of explained it last week, that if it finished early, it would be for De Lima, and if it went to a decision, it would be more for Ivanov. But Ivanov was definitely pretty aggressive, so I was pretty impressed. I felt like this one was going to be a snoozer if it went to a decision, but there's a lot of pace and action going on.
Yeah. There were some great fights on this card. Unfortunately. Oh man, that's a gruesome picture of the choke.
Yeah, I think he tapped and then went out immediately after.
Yeah, it did seem that way. I mean, it's like Gaethje has shown in his fights with Khabib and Oliveira that he's got a glaring hole in his grappling, but good luck finding your way to that hole. Because you're talking about one of the most dangerous strikers in the division. He throws with reckless abandon, and he's a D1 wrestler. Oliveira had to put him on the ground with strikes to get to the position he got to. So It's like, if you're fighting Justin Gaethje, you don't think like, oh, well, I'll just take him down and submit him. It's like, all right, well, you got to walk through this fucking minefield first and deal with all of that. So yeah, overall, I'll choose to remember this card for the good, not for the bad and the ugly.
Yeah,
the bad being, Carla Esparza, Rose Namajunas, the ugly being Blagoy Ivanov. But that co-main event was rough, man. But
Bill, Carla Esparza always looks like she would rather be doing something else. But like, she also looked that way while she was shooting in on Rose Namajunas.
Yeah.
Like, she's getting married next week, so I think that's part of the reason she didn't want to go super aggressive. She wants to keep the face looking good for the wedding, I guess.
I did tweet and this tweet got a little bit of traction out there, Jeff. I said, I hope Carla's wedding night is more eventful than this fight. And that's genuine. I hope she has a good time.
Bill, by the judge, by looking at that fight, I think her first night is going to be her and her husband just sitting up and talking all night.
Yeah. Well, hopefully she gets the takedown. Uh, anyway, congratulations on the wedding, Carla. We got a great main event to look forward to next week. I'm excited for this one. UFC on ESPN 36, back at the Apex. Jan Blachowicz and Alexander Rakic. This is a fun one, Jeff. I'm looking forward to this one thoroughly.
Yeah, dude, I think this one's going to end in a finish, man. Don't ask me for who, don't ask me for what round, but I think somebody's getting put out.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I would lean towards Blachowicz just because of the experience factor. He's got about twice as many fights as Rakic, but Rakic is a young, hungry lion and a super talented fighter. I love this fight.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a fun one, man.
And then the co-main event I really love also, Ryan Spann and Ion Cutelaba. That's like one I would have never thought about, but now that it's right in front of me, I'm like, that is a fun fight.
Yeah, for sure. But Bill, I think it depends on which Ryan Spann shows up, man, because he can be hot or cold. And you do not want to go in cold against Ian Cutelaba, man. He is gonna just come in and Hulk smash you, dude. That's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be bad going in cold against that dude. And then Davey Grant, the comeback kid, is getting in there with Louis Smoka. That's a fun fight. I'm glad to see Smoka moved up to bantamweight. Then we got Caitlin Chukagian and Amanda Hebos. That's a sneaky good fight too.
Yeah, that's definitely Bill. That's as you would put it. That's like a sleeper fight. That'll be good.
Yeah, let's see. I might go with that one. Actually, I see one creeping up down here at the bottom. Frank Camacho and Manuel Torres. The undefeated Jake Hadley against Alan Nascimento. But here's one that's catching my eye, Jeff. Michael Johnson and Alan Patrick. That's a fun fight.
Yeah, dude. Any Michael Johnson fight is a fun fight, man. Michael Johnson's been quiet for a bit, man. I'm actually excited to see him come back. Hopefully a little bit refreshed because I feel like he's another one, man. He can be hot and cold, dude. But if he can get hot, I think he could add some fresh blood into this lightweight picture at the top of the division, man.
Yeah, and then here's one that I'm kind of surprised to see. Virna Jandiroba and Angela Hill. I could swear I saw a pregnancy announcement from Angela Hill on social media. Am I imagining this? Or I mean, now that I see she's fighting next weekend, I hope I was imagining it. I'm going to do a quick Google right here. Maybe she announced, because she's married already, right?
I'm not sure. I like Angela Hill, but I don't really follow her that closely.
Yeah, it was the kind of thing like it was the kind of thing where it just kind of showed up in my feed. I don't know. Somebody please correct me on that if I'm wrong. I'll try and look for the post that I saw, but I thought I remembered seeing a baby announcement. So hopefully I'm wrong, and there wasn't something that went badly for her and her husband there. Yeah, this is a sneaky good card, Jeff, but I think I'm going with Michael Johnson and Alan Patrick for my sleeper. I feel like
That's a good pick.
I feel like that fight's just gonna deliver. What are you looking at here on this card?
I'm gonna go ahead with Caitlin Chukagian and Amanda Ribas as my pick for the sleeper fight. Because I think that one could be fireworks. And Bill, I just wanted to address something before we keep going here. Unfortunately, Bill, I feel like Saturday night's main card lost a little bit of steam because unfortunately Donald Cerrone versus Joe Lauzon did not happen, man. I was very much looking forward to that card, to that fight in particular. I felt like that's a great way to open the pay-per-view, man. Um, so so disappointed, man. And Joe Lauzon was in the crowd, and at one point they panned to him, and he's just sitting there looking all serious and sad, like somebody took his pudding cup or something.
I love Joe Lauzon, man. It was so weird that he just decided to come off the bench after however many years and just get in there. He's just been sitting around like peeing in a cup whenever USADA knocks on the door, just for fun. Yeah, it was unfortunate. They said Cowboy had an illness and had to pull out. I don't know exactly what went on there. They didn't say if he had COVID or anything like that. You haven't heard about a fight getting canceled because of COVID in a while. The only one I can remember is Rafael Fiziev and RDA.
Was that? I feel like that was in like November.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a while back, but they've rebooked that fight. So at least that. Jeff wants to know when we're gonna fight, Jeff. He says, when are you guys going to throw down? Jeff will KO you stiff, Bill.
Oh man. Dude. Bruce, I'm sorry to disappoint you. My striking sucks, dude. Like that's the only way I could put it, man. Yeah, I think dude, I didn't throw my first punch until I started training jujitsu because the guy, one of the coaches, was also a Muay Thai coach, so he would throw in like some MMA stuff. But yeah, sorry, Bruce. Yeah, my striking sucks, dude.
I don't know, Jeff. I don't want to get caught with one of those clubbing overhand rights you got. I don't want to be on the receiving end of that.
Yeah, but Bill, I gotta get lucky for that
one. Anything can happen. Yeah, so I like this card. I like the main event. I feel like there's a lot of great fights mixed in, from the prelims through the main card. I think it's going to be a fun night. I am going to be back in Orlando again next weekend, Jeff. I got out of the Disney trip last week.
It wasn't going to happen twice, Bill.
Oh yeah, it's like Final Destination. It's like I'll end up some way or another.
Dude, I love those movies. Oh man.
They should make a parody about just like being a dad. I feel like there's a movie there. We need to get Judd Apatow on board to direct it. We need like Will Ferrell or somebody like Paul Rudd, like very like dad-like actor. And let's get it done. I feel like we can write the script in 35 minutes. We could call it Final Dadstination.
Dude, I was thinking that as the name too. That's good. That should be the name of the episode.
Yeah, just might be. Because I don't know if I have any other ideas. Let's see. Is there any has there been any news or anything else? I'm glad you brought up the Cowboy Cerrone thing because that had actually completely slipped my mind while I was in a coma watching the co-main event.
Oh, dude, I'm sorry to cut you off, but we were talking about WWE guys who could fight. I fucking forgot about Bobby Lashley, dude. He wasn't like great or anything, but he fought for Bellator for a little bit, a couple of years.
I feel like he might still be on the roster.
He might, but I think he's tied up in some storylines in WWE actually.
Well, he's another one who's got like an actual amateur wrestling background.
Yeah.
I mean, seeing him and Brock Lesnar fight would have been pretty cool.
I think they had a couple of matches in WWE against each other, like a little bit more.
I mean, like actually fight, Jeff.
Oh yeah, yeah. That sounds better. But but yeah, dude, Bobby Lashley, his record wasn't bad either. I think he was like 10-3 or 10-4 or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I think he just, couldn't commit to it full time because of the WWE stuff. Can't blame him there. You can't.
Yeah.
How do you say no to those paychecks? I'm sure he did very well over there.
Oh yeah, and they're not coming in per fight. They probably come in, every 2 weeks or something.
Oh, thank you, Mark, for reminding me. Daniel Cormier inducted to the UFC Hall of Fame. And I think it was a surprise. I think he didn't know it was like he knew he was going to be in the Hall of Fame, but he didn't know it was going to happen that night. So that was pretty cool. That's a special moment. Definitely deserving. Like, what a career that guy had. You have to wonder, like, how his career would have gone if he just stayed at heavyweight. Because when he came to the UFC, one of his main training partners was Cain Velasquez, and he kind of moved down out of respect for Cain. Like, all right, that's your division. Dominated at light heavyweight against everybody not named John Jones, and then returned to heavyweight to become the king of that division. I remember his run in Strikeforce, Jeff, because he entered the heavyweight Grand Prix tournament, and he was an alternate. Like, he wasn't supposed to be in it originally. He was a substitute, and then just ran through it. Took down Josh Barnett like with ease. Manhandled Dan Henderson, and he was just like so unassuming because he's such like a friendly, like jolly looking guy. But he's just like a bear when he gets a hold of you. He just ragdoll dudes.
Yeah, man. Bill, I'll always be a fan of DC, man. Just all around good dude. And I feel like the John Jones stuff, for me, it doesn't do anything against his legacy at all, man. I mean, he was still light heavyweight champion. Ran through the heavyweight division. I felt like heavyweight was his home, dude. And I love that he respected Cain Velasquez enough to not step on his toes. But man, like when he wanted to, that was his division, dude.
I'm kind of sad the Brock Lesnar fight never came together. That was supposed to happen at one point. That would have been interesting. It would have been interesting to see like how he would have done at heavyweight, like when Verdum was on top and when Junior Dos Santos was on top, and like those are matchups we never got to see. That would have been really fun. But in the meantime, he had some like epic performances at light heavyweight as well. So congratulations to him. That's well deserved. I don't think there's anybody out there who would say like, no way, why would he get in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, dude, DC definitely deserves it. But I love that he was crying on camera. Like, that's one of the things I love about DC is he's so raw, man. Like, he cried against losing to John Jones because it hurt him. Maybe not the loss, but I think it was just everything put together, all the buildup in the media.
Sure.
And for him to, I guess lose face a little bit.
Yeah. Well, luckily for him, one of those losses was overturned.
Then it wasn't a loss, Bill.
That's right. Yeah, I like Cormier. I think I'll let him make a cameo in Final Dadstination too.
Oh man,
I feel like he would be good. I would love to see DC in a movie,
dude. Like I want to see him in like a movie with Kevin James, dude. I feel like they would be awesome together.
Yeah, Here Comes the Boom too,
dude. Like have DC just train him.
Maybe Kevin James could star in Final Destination. Somebody get me Judd Apatow's phone number so we can get the ball rolling on this. I feel like we should already be in pre-production here. Like, what's the delay, Jeff? How does this shit work? What?
Bill, it could be a movie about nothing.
Yeah, That would be.
I got it, Bill. I got it. Here's the opening scene. Right? So DC is in a car accident, but the other guy who hits him doesn't have car insurance. So
Is it John Jones?
so they go to yeah, it's John Jones. Okay, so they go to trial. All right, they go to trial, and the judge rules that John Jones has to be DC's butler for a year.
Isn't this a movie already?
No, it's from Seinfeld. Remember, it's the TV show they write.
Oh, that's right. That was supposed to be. Was it Jerry who's supposed to be the butler?
No, Jerry's the main guy. Somebody else is the butler.
Who was supposed to be the butler?
I don't know, but remember, one of
Maybe it was John Jones.
Huh?
Maybe it was John Jones.
Maybe, but I just remember that that one of the network producers ends up getting engaged to George, and then he kills her off.
Oh yeah,
by licking old stamps. That was a good story arc. That was good.
That was Susan.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. I haven't gotten a text from Judd Apatow yet. So I don't know if this movie's gonna get off the ground. We got to see where it goes.
Yeah, Bill. Or something. Bill, you're breaking up a lot on my end, or maybe it's on your end. I don't know.
Oh, all right. Well, I can hear myself, but I guess I'll call the show then. You got anything else you want to go off your chest?
Nope, that's all I got for you.
Right. Well, let me remember to pull up the ending credits here. I think I forgot to do it last time. In any case, thanks for tuning in, folks. Don't forget to share the episode. Leave us a review. Leave some comments on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're watching, listening. That's all we got for you. So until next time, cheers, everybody. Goodbye.